Hello, and welcome to On the Couch, Conversations with Brenda Porter. Today's guest is Ife. Uh, would you please go ahead and pronounce your last name, because you know I'm going to botch it
Absolutely.
up. Oh,
um,
my boy.
Perfect. Yes,
There you go.
it's Okumabwa. Yeah. So my first name is Chiwuzo. Middle name is Ife, and then last name is Okumabwa. And but I go by Chi Ife or Ife for short.
Okay. Which is the same name as your production, Chi Ife, right?
Yes, Chi Ife.
So
Chi Ife
your production
Productions.
company. So
Correct.
you are a producer, an actor, a performer, a marketing guru. So
I like the word.
and you've done some wonderful work. You're a lyricist as well.
Yes.
And so you did a fabulous production of the Kink in a Kink in My Hair.
So yes, I was on the production staff. So I was like one of the producers for the Kink in My Hair, the Cop Energy Center performance. And that was around, I think that was like maybe 2014, 2015. Mm-hmm.
So you have lots of projects. Tell me a little bit about your company.
Absolutely. So Chi Ife Productions is a multi-purpose production company. It started off with just myself, and I was a contractor, a production manager, producer, associate producer, and just pretty much just making my way out there in Atlanta theater, working on different projects, and then I also use it as a way to produce my own personal projects. So I have like an online show that I'm still working on, but that's called To Do. I also have some workshops that I offer the community that are like self-empowering workshops, and then also events that allow artists to connect and network. And then also I have my own musical theater production that I'm co-writing with Sonny Williams, who's a friend of mine, and that's called A Song for a Daisy. So it's a production company that allows me to act as a producer and a production manager, but then also to produce my own works and works of others.
So you said you did empowerment workshops for the community.
Yes.
Right now, at a time when the community really needs to come together and be empowered, tell me a little bit about all those workshops.
Okay, so wonderful. So one of the main workshops that I've actually presented at like um, Job Corps in Memphis, Tennessee, and then also at Georgia State University is a workshop called Ensemble Power. And so I have a background. I started off as an actress. I moved to Atlanta, Georgia in like 1991 back then.
From
and
where?
huh?
From where?
From Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah, so my mother's from Memphis, Tennessee. My dad is from Nigeria. So I was born in Nigeria, came to Memphis, Tennessee when I was 3, and then moved to Atlanta in 91, and then had the wonderful opportunity to attend Tri-Cities High School, where I met Freddie Hendricks. He was the theater teacher there at that time. Wonderful arts program, I think started by Viola Turner. And then from there, I was asked to audition for YEA, which is the Youth Ensemble of Atlanta. At that time, it was the Freddie Hendricks Youth Ensemble of Atlanta. And the company members are Debbie Barber, who's the executive director, and Charles Bullock, who was the choreographer at that time. So that is an ensemble-based theater. So a lot of the things that I learned were rooted from YEA. And YEA, for anyone who needs to know, is I think it's the Southeast or Atlanta's premier African American youth theater company, and a lot of the work that they create is has social or political backgrounds, and it's all original. It's written by the youth. So a lot of my like writing skills and then my passion for like theater and social activism came from YEA. So afterwards, as I was kind of creating works for my own, Ensemble Power was born, and that was kind of a way to work with a group of people creatively to help them to develop a creative piece together as a group through song, acting, and then dance. And so what I did with the Job Corps program in Memphis, Tennessee, is I worked with a group of young people, and we talked about like music, hip hop, and how the lyrics kind of affect us, the meaning, the visual images, and then we kind of created a piece from there, positive rap versus negative rap, and then Ensemble Power, I've worked with Georgia State University, group of students there, and we just kind of created our own work. So it's just getting people to open up, work as a group, and then solve certain issues by creating a mini musical theater piece afterwards.
Now, you said working with the folks at Georgia State, so you also did an international festival with students there. Is that right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
How was that? Where'd you
go? So it was the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh, in Scotland. Yep. And that was, I believe that was the 2015 Fringe Festival in Scotland. It's one of the largest Fringe festivals, theater Fringe festivals. And I was working on a piece called Carnival Medea, a Bacchanal, which is, it's like a rendition of Euripides' Medea, but it's the Trinidadian kind of take, a version of it. And it's written by Dr. Shirlene Holmes, who's a wonderful playwright, and everybody in the Atlanta community knows who she is and loves her. She was also a professor at Georgia State at the time. And then her writing partner, Roma Spencer, who's a Canadian actress, Canadian Trinidadian actress and writer, playwright. And so I was able to kind of be there when they started workshopping it at Georgia State University. Dr. Holmes brought me on as like a stage manager. And then one magical day, she was like, I think I want to enter the festival to go to Scotland, and would you be interested in producing it? So she sowed a seed, a financial seed. And I was really grateful. But when she told me the idea, I got goosebumps, and I was like, Dr. Holmes, we are going to Scotland. And we work with a group of students for a year in just fundraising, developing the piece, and then we took it to Scotland. And then we also had a wonderful choreographer by the name of Natalie Joseph, who traveled with us. She choreographed the show, and she traveled with us to Scotland as well, and a very, very beautiful piece. And then we also presented it at the Atlanta Black Theater Festival when it returned from Scotland.
So Scotland, how is Scotland, and how did they accept a group of African Americans?
Yeah, and we were the only show. We had our, it was nothing like our show, and we got a chance to, just enjoy the festival and go see other shows, but we didn't really see anything like ours. And it was a very beautiful experience. So I've had opportunity to travel overseas with the Youth Ensemble of Atlanta, to Amsterdam and to China. So that, and then I've traveled, with other groups, but that wasn't my first time. But a lot of the students and adults that we took on that trip, that was like their first international theater experience. So that was, I think, one of my most rewarding moments. I think just being able to kind of live again vicariously through them, being able just to walk the streets and see street performers, walk into a theater and you see a show, and walk into another area and you see a small comedy black box performance or a new musical. And so it was just a really rich cultural experience for all of us. And Scotland was really beautiful as well. And we got a chance to go to a visit, like the castles and countryside. So it was a great experience. I think we stayed like 10 days there.
Oh, wow.
It was a long trip.
So speaking of festivals, because I'm going to go from one thing to another. Speaking of festivals.
No, go with it. Yeah.
The Atlanta Black Theater Festival is coming up.
Yes.
And I understand that you have a piece in it.
Yes. So I'm presenting the musical production that I'm writing. Now actually workshopping, it's written. I've started workshopping it in 2015, actually around the same time I was working on Carnival Medea. So I'll be presenting a panel discussion called Dreams on MLK, Defying Racism and Societal Norms Through Afrofuturism. So what I'm doing now, because I was supposed to present a full reading at the Atlanta Musical Theater Festival this year in August. And of course, everything was postponed until 2021. And so I just had to think of like, how am I going to keep, workshopping the piece, but then also, keep engaging audiences and connecting people to it. And so I just thought about, why not take certain themes from the show and gather some people and have great conversations, and then also show songs or a scene from the show. So that's exactly what I'm doing. We'll be presenting a song that I wrote called No Dreams on MLK. And then we'll be presenting a scene from the show that we did last year at the Atlanta Beltline After Dark, which is a scene between the Oracle and the Daisy, who is the main character. And then we go into a wonderful discussion with 4 Afrofuturism content creators about creating a new vision for the Black community.
And what's the name of the piece?
So the name of the musical is A Song for a Daisy.
Wonderful. So you talked about engaging the audience, and
yes,
you have a degree in marketing. Is that correct?
I do. I have a degree, a bachelor's degree in marketing, and then a master's degree from SCAD Atlanta in arts administration.
Ah,
yes.
Well, no wonder you have the company that you have. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
So, so marketing is, that is not my forte at all.
Okay. Okay.
So how do you find that marketing has differed during this COVID, having so many online programs? Has marketing changed?
I think it's just taken another step forward, or has been pushed into just marketing fully marketing people online. I think we were taking baby steps towards it, and magazines are going away and newspapers were going away, and now we're just kind of all in marketing online. And I think it's I think it's a great way to just reach audiences that normally they wouldn't be able to attend your show because they may be in Nigeria, or they may be in Memphis or in another state. Now, you can market to them and send them a link, and then now you're connected. And so, online marketing is great. I mean, sending out newsletters. People don't like to do a lot of reading. They like to click through stuff. And you're provided with so much data. You could actually see what people are interested in, what they're clicking on, what they're watching, and what they're buying or purchasing, and so you're able to do, I think, better research, market research, and get a better bang for your buck with online marketing. So, and I know it's not for everybody, but it's not even the way of the future anymore. The future is here. It's the way, and we're just gonna have to just jump on board and just, roll with it.
You had to drag me kicking and screaming into it, man.
I know.
So this is a question, though, I have about that in terms of marketing. Traditionally, theater has really been supported by people who have expendable or extra income. So generally, that has tended to be, I would say, in Atlanta at least, and probably partially on Broadway as well, but by older people, because the younger people are out doing their own thing, discovering who they are. When you're in your 30s and your 40s, you got your family, and you can't find babysitters, so you're not going out to the theater on a regular basis. So it's like 50s, 60s, 70s, where people are going, oh man, I really loved theater when I was younger. I really now want to go and support theater. I want to get a subscription to a theater. I want to, and yet some of those 60s, 70s are not really online in the way that the 20s, 30s, and 40s are. Yeah. Maybe even, it may be 50s. 50s is that sort of crossover.
Right. Yeah, because I feel like 50 should be like the new 30 or something. I feel like the closer I get, the more I'm like, 50, that's not old. No.
That's cute. 90's not old to me now.
Right. Come on. Yes. So
how do you think that's going to affect the dynamics of our audiences?
To be honest with you, so while I was attending grad school at SCAD, my thesis was on audience development. And so the name of my thesis was like mastering counteraction. It was the way you can use using hip hop culture to cultivate young and diverse audiences or something like that. And so at the time it was like, you know, as I was like writing it and showing it to my professors, they were like, oh yeah, hip hop is cute, yay. But really it was talking about how you can use pop culture, because hip hop is pop culture, to attract new audiences. And that's been the conversations for like what, 10, 20, 30 years. How do you get butts in seats? How do you cultivate audiences, and how are you going to save the classical arts, the live arts? And so a lot of my research was, you know, looking at different surveys and just kind of seeing what people like, you know, what age group attends what type of art. And what I discovered was, you know, musical theater, you know, something somewhere between concert and live play, or even dance, something with a lot of movement, actually, you know, gets younger audiences. And so I was looking at a lot of theater companies, or just classical, just different arts organizations, and looking at what they were producing. And so my answer was, you know, start creating programs for diverse audiences and for younger audiences. And it kind of seems like that's where we are right now. You know, it's like the talk is, you know, how do we reach diverse, you know, how do we create content for diverse audiences, or hire, you know, diversity hiring. And it's kind of like now we're being pushed into that. And I feel like the same thing with we're being pushed into now evolving, like theater or all the classical arts will have to evolve to online. And we're gonna have to figure out what that looks like, and how we're going to use marketing to educate those audiences, whether they're 50 years old or 60 or 70, to start engaging online. I don't know if that looks like, you know, targeting a grandson or a granddaughter, and hey, you know, bring grandma or bring mom and watch this show. Something's gonna have to happen to where you're gonna have to bring these different age groups together to teach each other how to engage and watch live performances online, you know, and also diverse audiences, because that, you know, that traditional audience that you would see on Broadway, which is usually like the older white male or white female, you know, that, you know, theater, that group is maturing, and you're going to have to do something to reach different audiences if you want to survive, you know. So yeah, I think it's just using your imagination, using your creativity to think about, you know, what we're going to have to do. And I think this is a good time. I know it's unfortunate for a lot of theater organizations, arts organizations, that are being forced to sit down and to think about, you know, what 2021 looks like. But and it's interesting because some theater companies, you see their marketing, and it just seems like they haven't missed a beat. And then some companies I haven't even seen anything from. So, you know, this is a good time to really sit down and figure out, you know, how are you going to reach those audiences? How are you going to educate those audiences?
You talked about hiring.
Mm-hmm.
So I question, because the musicals, those
Yeah.
things are places that we've always traditionally, with all companies, been
Right.
hired. You know,
Mm.
people will take a chance and say, let's produce, you know, Ain't Misbehaving, or let's produce
Right.
or Purple, or let's produce, you know,
Mm-hmm.
things where, so that diverse hiring is
Right.
very common with the musical.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes it's not blind, you know, with some of the musical stuff, but it's not often that we have other shows. And so how do we educate the young audience who are coming into musicals? How do we get them to go, let's go deeper and let's do something that's not a musical, but that really hits something that gets you thinking?
Okay. That gets you thinking. Well, I mean, you know, I kind of feel like musicals get you thinking,
Well, they
just
can.
because
They can.
I
They can get
understand they
you
can. Well, the musicals that I grew up actually performing in at YEA were
right.
always heavy hitting, whether we were talking about apartheid in South Africa, if we were talking about AIDS, gang violence. music, you can use musical theater, in a way to educate and to make change, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I think that it's not going to happen overnight, but I think, through research and hiring, yes, having a more diverse board and staff would at least start the conversation of what other newer playwrights of color out there, what other people are doing outside of Atlanta, and how does that fit into, I guess, the body of work, the season that you're presenting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, um, I think it really, and in some arts organizations, they already they know their target market, and they don't want to you steer away from that at all. But I think you're going to have to figure out what are certain things that you can insert to now make it a little bit more palatable to, when you actually do present that full dramatic piece, all African American cast. So I kind of feel like, the Alliance, they do a lot of work with Pearl Cleage,
Mm-hmm.
and and so I know they definitely have their audiences have well received her work. But I think with other companies, they're just going to have to figure that out as far as like what it may be through workshops, it's probably through speaker series, panel discussions, just different innovative ways to introduce a different voice, an unfamiliar voice to their audience. People do it through comedy, they do it through musical. If a musical is the gateway, if we can just get people to show up for the musical, they may now show up for something else.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Now you mentioned the Lions having Pearl Clegg,
Mm-hmm.
and that that is, I mean, she's Pearl Clegg. She's,
Right. Yeah.
right,
Mm-hmm.
and so she's safe, you know.
Right. Yes.
Um, and I would love for them. I am not on their board, or they don't ask me for anything. But
Right.
I would love for them to stretch out and say, okay, who else is here? Who else besides her? Because she's safe
Yeah.
and she's going to bring people in, and we're really happy about that. And I love
Right.
her work. She's brilliant.
Uh-huh.
But um, what about other people that are out there that are writing, that are local and not local? And
Right. Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm. I think, it's, there's one thing that I feel like I noticed in Atlanta is we need more opportunities to grow artists. I feel like, we've got the plays, we got the playhouses or different arts organizations, but we don't have, there's some like middle area missing.
hmm,
And that's some development, I think, of talent, whether it's, as actors and actresses, but then also with writers and stage managers and lighting designers. And I'm sure it probably does exist, but I feel like we could be doing so much more. And I honestly believe that there are a lot of Black theater companies in Atlanta. I feel like we are the ones that are going to have to really create those programs for ourselves and do the work for ourselves. And then I think from there, other people will recognize and then hire more. But I feel like a lot of it is going to have to come from us. We're going to have to
I
do it.
like that
We're going to have,
idea.
yeah, we're going to have to create the industry. I feel like um we're not, there's no need to think that we're not in competition with each other, but I think we're going to have to, a lot of arts organizations, Black arts organizations, are going to have to really work together to create an industry, create an audience, so that we can hire, we can do more work, because I think right now, like, I don't know, I feel like there are audiences that are out there that just have not been touched, and people are not spending any money to figure out what they like. It's just like, I'm gonna go for what I know, I'm gonna do what's tried and true. what everyone else has done. And like you said, you know, we're gonna pull out this play that has been produced over and over and over again because we know it's gonna, or we're gonna do the big Christmas play and everybody's gonna come out to see somebody sing and all of that, you know. But it's like, who's doing the work to reach the regular 9 to 5 going Atlanta person who will go to a concert, who will go to a comedy show, will go to a play at their church if they go to church, but are they gonna show up and see an August Wilson piece? Probably not, unless they are dating somebody who is an artist and somehow that person convinces them to go to a theater show. You know, I feel like there's an untapped audience that we need to figure out what type of work appeals to them and start creating work for audiences and get them to come through the door that way, and then introduce them to some August Wilson and some more classical pieces. But I don't see it. You know, I see a lot of the same shows over and over and over again. And I think that just, it's a disadvantage to us. And I think asking other people to open to invite us to the table is just another disadvantage. I feel like we can do it. I feel like we have the resources and we have the funds to build, to fundraise, and to build a thriving Black arts community here. We can do it. We just got to come together and really think through it and make it happen and start creating our own work.
We need to talk more. I really like that.
Oh yeah, I'm down for you. Sign me up. I'm there whenever you know.
But I think that's what Tyler Perry did.
Yeah.
He said people are going to their church plays.
Mm-hmm.
People are doing these things.
Right.
You know, and so he and everybody balked at him, and whether you like his work or don't.
Right. Yeah.
He found a niche for people that were not going to shows,
right.
And he would, you know, his shows were sold out, were packed with people.
They would. It's
that
like,
would go to his show, but they won't come to mine.
Will not. And I mean, you know, working, you know, with the theater company, with YEA. So I worked for YEA for 6 years as their management associate. So I came back later on in life and was hired through, it was like a grant through the Theater Communications Group. And Debbie Barber was able to, you know, get that grant and bring me on. And I was supposed to be there for 2 years. I ended up staying for 6. But it's interesting when you are making those, because, you know, when you're working for a theater company, arts organization, smaller to mid-size, you're wearing all of the hats, you know, like I said. And so I'm making those sales phone calls, trying to convince people to come see a show, to buy a $25 ticket. And it is like the hardest sell. What's the show about? But that same person will buy a $100 ticket to a Tyler Perry show. So it's not the money. It's they don't understand what they're seeing, and they don't understand the value. Well, one thing is like, do I wanna, after a 9 to 5 day, take a risk on seeing something that I'm not sure of? Or after my long day at work, do I wanna pay $100 and I know that I'm gonna laugh and I'm gonna hear some people hitting some high notes and hear some good music, some soul music, and people will invest in that because they, you know what it is that they have been going back to marketing. They have been educated and they understand the experience that they're about to have. And so that's valuable for them. And then they're going to pay their money. But if they don't understand, if you haven't educated them and taught them, the importance of seeing the show, what do you do when you see the show? What do you wear when you see the show? Who's going to be there? If they don't understand the experience, they're not going to go. If somebody, I was talking to someone, interviewing one arts organization, and they were saying how, like, if let's say Latin American audiences, you were trying to reach them, and they may not understand what to wear, or just what that experience is going to be when they show up at a ballet, a show like that. And that may make them a little hesitant to purchase the ticket, but they know that they can go down to see their local or their favorite artist, and they already know what to wear. And when they come in, how they're going to be received, they're going to go see that show. So I think, we just have to be creative when it comes to our own programming, reaching new audiences and making some compromise and creating the work that the audience wants to see, just to get them to come through the doors, And once they're through the doors, you can now give them a brochure about, oh, we're having a show for children and we're doing this, that, and the other. But, you first have to do that. You got to do something that they like. I mean, which is, I guess, is the age old, give them what they like, right?
Right.
The age old saying.
I can say that as a producer, that's so hard for me because I want to give them what I like.
Yes.
I want to produce things that inspire me.
Right.
So, and so I tend to pick pieces that I go, oh man, I like the message this says. This spoke to me.
Yes.
And sometimes I don't have butts in seats,
Yeah, there's two things with Tyler Perry that I want to say something that resonates with us as a African American community, or even as Africans. We love a good message. We love singing. We love spirituality and God, and we love to laugh, and we love some drama, and that is the whole, what Tyler Perry is presenting. He's resonating with Black people, in the things that or people from the African diaspora, things that we naturally love. It's all in one show. So why wouldn't we pay $100? And so I think we have to start understanding more about who we are as a people, and not being ashamed of what we naturally create, because what we naturally create is dope, right? Like
Right.
hip hop, and jazz and in gospel and everything. But it's a lot of times it's like we feel like we need a PhD, or we need someone else, to tell us, oh wow, hip hop is great, for now hip hop to become pop culture. But once upon a time, there was a young boy or girl in the projects with a beat machine experimenting, and that was ghetto at one point. But whatever that kid was doing was like genius, and we just have to start seeing the genius, in what we do off the bat, and knowing that we are a people who, we are resourceful. A lot of the artwork that we create, even when you look at old ancient African artifacts, have served two purposes. One, it is a beautiful bowl. We use it to eat out of as a family together. But then also it's a work of art. So it's like two or three things. And so that's typically what we've always naturally been doing. So I think, we talk about what I truly feel what African American or Black theater is, I think we haven't even tapped into that. I feel like until we stop with, we're so used to thinking about the westernized, how a show is created, the technical aspect of it, and how everything should fall. It should have a beginning, middle, and end. We're so, because that's how we've been trained and how we've been doing theater, that we don't trust what we naturally do. When we come together as a family and laugh and do different things, that's us being naturally ourselves. What does that look like? How can we now start funding or creating a space for just us to be creative naturally, without the Western eye, without it being wrong, without it, it's looking at it as a stage play? Because I honestly feel like there is a place for the stage play. The stage play has always been with us, and Tyler Perry's, I guess you would call his work when he first started as a stage play. But stage play is what people show up for. But why do they show up for the stage play? What is that? And that's the conversation that should be had, and that's what we should be looking at, and we should be creating space for. We should be creating space for us to do whatever it looks like, even if it don't look like what is on Broadway. What are we naturally creating, and then build from there. And we probably will that's kind of how you start creating that industry, how you start creating like authentic, Black theater, or African theater. I
Wow.
said a whole mouthful. I just was just
Oh,
going.
I loved it. No, I loved everything you
So,
said. It sounded good to me.
okay, good, Brenda. Just cut me off if I, because I can go. I can go from one subject to the next, topic to the next. So yeah, just let me know.
Padre Harris calls it womanese when we go from one thing
Mm,
to another. He's like,
yes,
I don't understand that woman thing. You're talking about one thing, and then it's like you're talking about something else. What are
right.
you talking
But
about?
you get it. You're following. You're able to follow along. Right. Yep.
Right. So, uh, our time is almost over. So
Okay.
it's like I can't believe it. It just went so
Yeah.
quickly.
Uh,
Is there something that you are dying to share with people, or a project that you're working on, or
yeah. I
wisdom
want
from your
to.
heart, from the gods
Yes.
to people? Yes.
Yes, I just, I want to just double back and talk about A Song for a Daisy. It is something, that I've been working on since 2015. And what it is, I call it an Afrofuturism original musical production. Um, and what it's about a young girl who is coming of age. And her name's Adeze, and Adeze means first daughter of a king. So she's from kind of, I wouldn't say, well, like a royal family or affluent family. And so the Ada in Nigerian culture, and I'm Igbo, has a lot of responsibilities. And so she can't be a kid, she can't be a dreamer. She has to take on these responsibilities, but she's eccentric and she loves science and she's just not ready. And she's getting ready for her bloom, which is kind of like a debutante ball. So what we do is we talk about rites of passage, we talk about womanhood, we talk about Black women being able to come into their own before society tells them what to do. And it has an Afrofuturism theme because it takes place in a different realm, and there's an astronaut. And then we also talk about the Mami Water, who is a deity in Igbo culture. So we're introducing, African, and then we call it diasporic because we have like some characters from the Caribbean and then Latin countries as well. But I want to how I see A Song for a Daisy is the beginning of what I'm seeing as a theater of the diaspora. And what I think theater of the diaspora is what does theater look like when you invite the diaspora on stage, when you give voice, to the African, the Black American, the Caribbean, the, Latinx community. When we all get on stage and create a work where those characters have a voice, what does that look like? What is theater of the diaspora? What's Afrofuturism? And how do we continue to start creating new works that, younger people can see and dream and imagine and take the story to the next level or share our own stories. So I really hope that everyone gets a chance to go to Chi-Ife.com and follow the journey of that production, which is A Song for a Daisy.
I love it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Brenda. I'm so excited. Thank you so much I'm so honored just to be speaking with you. I love, seeing your shows with Impact Theater, and just so honored just for you to even ask me to be a part of your program.
Thank you. I am honored to have you here.
Okay.
And we will continue to have conversation because
Absolutely. Yes.
You hit on some things I think that I would love to continue discussing. So
wonderful.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon, and I appreciate it.
Too.
I will see you on the first day of the festival.
Yes, Wednesday, September 30th at 12 p.m. For Dreams on MLK, Defying Racism and Societal Norms Through Afrofuturism.
That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
But it's also a good thoughtful. So
it
have
is.
a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.